Into Football Sunday right here on 1080 The Fan, the Odyssey app. And sure enough, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. I am Joe Fisher. Across the faux marble table, Rashad Taylor. And across the glass is Jordan Schultze. What is good on this Sunday morning, fellas? How y'all doing?
I'm
tired. I assume.
Headphones are loud over here today, but can turn those down. But
more snare.
A little tired.
More snare.
A little tired.
Yeah.
I say begrudgingly because I'm not well. Not well this morning, Joe.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, we were just discussing this as well, and plenty of time to get to all that. But last week we were not here. It was the Thanksgiving weekend, and we got Wally pipped because of just scheduling and us not wanting to be here because it was Thanksgiving weekend.
Frankly, it was nice to sleep in, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, I think it was like the morning of, I realized, I was like, oh, yeah, that would have been an 8 a.m. show. So we would have done back-to-back 8 a.m. shows on a Sunday morning, which, tip of the cap to the Monday through Friday morning show guys, Dirt and Sprague, for waking up this early. I feel like waking up at 4 a.m. on a Monday is equivalent.
That's torture.
I feel like that is equivalent, though, to waking up at like 6:30 on a Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Like that, waking up at 4 o'clock. Number one, it's still night. I don't care what anybody says. That's still, I get it's a.m., but that's clearly, p.m. But waking up that early to get here and prepping and stuff like that prior, that means if you wake up at 4, your night's over at 7.
Yeah, I think Sprague says he goes to bed like at 10 after 8-ish, which is literally my 8:00 was my bedtime when I was 9, 10, 11 years old.
Which sucks because one of the big things that those guys have to do is cover the Blazers, all year, or, cover baseball.
Not so much this year.
Not so much this year, but, when still things happen and,
you might
you
be
have
able to
make sure
sum that up in the last segment.
You might have to, if you're one of those guys, you might have to end up at the game, doing some stuff one day. And so,
Like at the Blazers game?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you'll find either of those guys at a Blazers game.
You might, depending on who's playing.
Work related.
Depending on who's playing, I think you can convince,
True.
Sprague to get out. Dirt, maybe not.
Oh, yeah, no,
yeah, Dirt, maybe not. Sprague, for sure.
The only stadium or arena you're getting Dirt to is the Coliseum for some Winterhawks games.
No, yeah. And again, I think they'd
And
have
Autzen.
to be premium.
And Autzen.
They'd have to be premium seats just to get Dirt out there for fun.
Yeah,
like you have to pay Dirt to do some stuff.
Yeah, I was asking.
Dirt sound like Rob.
No, hey man, like Dirt's about the moolah, and I'm not mad at him.
Listen, and there does become a point, and I think it is with age. I totally get it. Like the last 2 years, going to Ducks games have been fun. I'm like, F the drive, 12-hour day, whatever. I'm all about it. You go to a few of them, all in the same year. It had been an 8-year gap between I went to games when I was in college and last year.
You miss it. You definitely develop like some of those fond, like, oh, I need to get there FOMO feeling.
And I was at Oregon, so my drive was, there wasn't a drive. I drove to my buddies in downtown Eugene by campus, and then we walked to the game, if that was the case. So I get it. Like, I was asking Isaac, I'm like, what would you need to go to Autzen and go to a Ducks game? Like, just hypothetically, is it like chopper? Do you need to be choppered in and like lowered down at the
Matt
50? And he's
Lauer
like,
status.
and he's like, come on, like, I'm not that, high maintenance. But
I could see Rob needing like a golf cart to take him to his seat or something like that. Yeah, to his parking spot.
Well, even I need a Gator ride like that. It's not a golf cart; it's like a step up. It's a little John Deere Gator golf cart essentially that
Dude,
actually
how fun are
hauls
those, though?
stuff. And they take me out to the car after we do the show. It's so awesome. So even the lowly Schultze gets a little bit of the red carpet treatment down at Autzen Stadium.
The Gator. Dude, who didn't love the Gator in high school? You see the football coaches or whatever driving those around the practice fields, the grounds. You're like, God, that looks a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ate some cookies in those Gators. Yeah, a lot of stuff to get to. As far as college football goes. There was a game on Friday that I haven't really looked at or thought about or really gave my thoughts and opinions to anyone about. And so you're going to get that fresh off the press this morning. But did either of you guys almost die driving in this morning from hydroplane?
It wasn't just me.
It's a wet one out there. Yeah.
I feel like this is my annual PSA my God, drive safely on the freeways, because I had to explain to my son this morning what hydroplaning was because it was happening so damn much
Go
out there.
slow today.
Yeah, just go. Like everybody wants to go, as fast as they get. Everybody's so impatient. I don't get it when driving. I'm a cruiser. I don't know about you guys, but I'm in no real rush to get where I'm going. To quote the great Chili Palmer, when you're important, people will wait. And so I'm never in a rush to get somewhere. So people just speeding past you. I feel bad for anybody on the bus or like on the max, and that a-hole comes by with the tire and gets water on you, splashes water on you. Like that's a tough one to handle, because there's no way you're not pissed for the rest of the day.
I mean, if it's dry out, I'm gonna go faster, but not. I'm not an inbred S-hook. I will absolutely slow down if it's if it's pouring cats and dogs, like fists full of rain are falling on my windshield. Yeah, I'm gonna slow down. So no, that was really scary. But I'm also to the point where I need new tires, like really badly.
It's that time.
And I was kind of concerned that it was my situation that was making me extra slippery, but no, it sounds like it's everybody this morning.
No, yeah, it's not cool.
Well, this reminds me now, because who doesn't like a good puddle, right? Like you drive by or walk by, you're like, dude, that's a big ass puddle. Like there is that childlike instinct to instantly want to go and jump in that.
Let's splash on this and see how big it is.
I saw one last night. Do you remember when Jackass had that one bit where they were doing puddle skimboarding? Like they would find giant puddles in Seattle or Portland, because a few of the guys were from here.
A lot of the early Jackass stuff is filmed right here, in Portland.
And they would find these giant puddles like in parking lots, and they find those skimboards that you can take to the beach and ride on the water right there.
Yep.
And they would ride these puddles.
Yeah.
And literally, I got the instinct last night. I'm like, dude, I wish I had a skimboard right now. I would crush that puddle right now, man.
Jackass, one of the things I would say that has not aged well over the last 20 years.
Oh, I think it's aged fantastic.
I don't know. I think Jackass is pretty. It's still. Listen, watching people get hurt is never
Put
not
that
going
in
to
the
be funny.
time capsule and show people 100 years.
Seriously, there's like watching people get hurt is never not funny. It's so unfortunate. As long as they're okay, right? As long as there's like no broken bones or anything. When like if someone falls, I'm sorry, that's funny. Like that's not funny. You're not gonna laugh. Like mind you, if it's an older person or a small child or something like that, okay, cool. But like you see someone like my favorite is those real cute girls at like the bars and stuff, and they're trying to be cute with the heels, and they give that little like that little wobble. You know what I'm saying? That little thing. Like when that wobble happens, a lot of them can't recover that very well, and so to watch the tumble. Oh my gosh, man, it's so funny.
No.
Yeah, right. Seriously, because they're trying to catch themselves with them heels. It look like a baby fawn trying to catch themselves in those heels, and watch them fall. Yo, like it's a funny thing to watch.
Okay, I hear you, but when I guess I'm going dark here. When Johnny Knoxville's the only one that comes out okay, and you got one guy that died.
And okay is a
exactly. It's a very relative term.
Yeah.
You got one guy that died and crashed into a tree drunk driving in Ryan Dunn. You have another one
that wasn't a stunt though.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about the stunts necessarily being the things that killed them. Then you have another guy that's almost dead in Bam Margera. So,
well, do you think these dudes? Listen, these dudes are not sober doing this stuff.
Addicted to painkillers
like
because of
that's what I'm saying. Like to do some of the things that these guys did.
It sounds
you're not sober.
You're leaning into what I'm saying. This show did not age well.
Yeah.
Oh well. Again, it's not like the show was, "Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and I'm going to rail this line of coke."
Yeah.
Like, "Hi, I'm Steve-O, and I'm going to do
these
some
are prostitutes." Yeah.
Trust me, there's a video, a whole movie of Steve-O doing PCP that you can watch, and it follows him for like a week. It's not fun. It's not a great watch at all. But I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to watch Steve-O take a taser to his balls or his nipples. I'd rather watch that.
Yeah, but
I'd rather watch them do a riot control test where Johnny Knoxville takes a beanbag from a shotgun right in his gut.
You're so right. No, and those videos are so fun to watch, but every time, without fail, the YouTube algorithm, after you've watched 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, it takes you to the Adam Carolla failed late night show where Steve-O was hammered off his booty and was, it was one of the worst live television appearances of all time.
Steve-O is now sober, though.
Is now sober.
He is.
So
He is.
silver lining. I'm now gone down the rabbit hole of best jackass stunts of all time.
Oh, man.
A top list.
The
A personal
porta potty
favorite.
has to be on there.
Oh yeah, it's number 7. The poop.
Thank you.
The poo cocktail supreme.
Thank you. Thank you.
But right below that, a personal favorite because of the local ties is the rent-a-car demolition derby.
derby.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
They rented that car. I believe now it used to be like a playground place where you can buy those big wooden playground structures, but it's right on the exit, the Greenberg exit off of 217 over by the Shiloh Inn, Washington Square. That used to be the rental car place right there on the corner by the freeway. And that was, I think that was the first
That's the first one.
bit from the first
From
movie.
the first movie. Yeah.
Like they do the credit scene when they're coming down on the shopping cart down the hill. And then that is the first bit in the movie is the rent-a-car demolition derby.
My favorite line in that is like, well, you're going to pay for this car. And he said, somebody needs to pay for this car. Johnny Knoxville goes, well, I ain't.
I brought it back with full tank of gas.
Full tank of gas. Like, what do you mean? That was hilarious, man. Like, and so that's I went to go see that in the theater.
He
mind
pulls
you,
the blow-up dolls out of the back and starts walking away.
yeah, like that's he's they're a genius, man. I think we have to give a big shout out. Prior to Jackass, the Tom Green show. Like people don't give Tom Green enough credit because he was the original, Jackass. If we're being real, kind of
We're
gave
going back,
an
man.
opening for those guys to come out and kind of do some of the things that they
CKY
did.
when
Yeah.
Bam Margera was doing all that stuff with CKY.
Yeah,
There were
man.
those videos. I think that was
They were
before
everywhere.
Jackass,
Bam
too.
got a show based off of
Viva La
being-
Bam.
Yeah,
that was
Bam-
after
yeah.
Jackass.
That's
that
what
was still
Jackass
a
like.
piece of ass. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
What are you
So-
talking about? Don
I
Vito,
love that Phil,
who actually ended
the
up being a
stepdad?
terrible human being.
He had Don Vito, who was a terrible human being, and Bam, who just beat the S out of his parents for no real reason.
Well,
just
his
good
dad.
and
His
funny.
dad.
His dad, not his mom. Let's make that clear.
No, but his mom's in the background getting emotionally beaten because she's like, Bam, stop!
One of
Bam!
Well, it was pretty funny when they had the gator in the house, and then
Oh, yeah,
she showed up.
or in the movie with the
Pretty
putting the
funny.
fireworks in the bedroom, early in the morning. Like that was, or fireworks in the.
Jordan,
in the
you
truck.
laughed at this 20 years ago. Do not pull this
Yeah.
left-hand
I'm
turn. I don't know about this.
I'm
wondering
you were
which-
dying.
I've
at
evolved
all
so
this
much
stuff.
past Jackass
Yeah.
No,
now.
Come on.
I'm wondering which was a worse watch in my head. The show Next on MTV or Viva La Bam? Just not
I
sure
don't know,
which piece
man.
of trash.
No, I
was
will
worse.
say mid 2000s, like
MTV was
MTV
great.
dating was great and also
Yes.
pretty deplorable too.
Oh
It
man,
was
next
awful.
dismissed. You are dismissed.
Parental-
Parental control. Get out of
Room
here.
Raiders.
Dismissed
Yeah.
is next. Yeah, next. You had 5 people and you lasted like $1 per minute or something like that on every date. It
Yeah,
was a
I
weird
remember that.
concept. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was always my favorite on Room Raiders. They're like, oh boy, time to break out the black light.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start showing the black light over like the bed sheets.
Yeah, let's go over any 16,
on the ceiling and
17-year-old
stuff.
teenagers. Like, come on, guys.
Well,
Like,
I don't
this
think
is
it was
awful.
16, 17. That would be, really gross then.
Well, I thought that's the key demo of kids they brought on.
Well,
I feel
key
like that
demo,
at least
but
on,
the
like,
people on MTV that they were doing these dating shows were 16, 17-year-olds.
oh, this was
Unless they were
that was a
Teen
date.
Mom.
Room Raiders was a dating show. You're right.
Yes,
Sorry, I kind
yeah.
of confused it with like the makeover.
Let's go
show.
into this 14-year-old's room
Well, no,
and totally
they did-
expose his ass.
They would bring kids on and then try to like help them attain a goal. Like one kid wanted to like run track. Like what was that show?
They
Like
want to
oh.
be made.
thank you MTV made. Yes.
Listen,
Rashad knows where I'm at.
I'm like the almanac of MTV. I know all the MTV, VH1, BET
Oh,
shows.
I Love New
as a
York,
kid.
Rock of Love with
Man,
Bret Michaels.
Flavor of Love, bro.
Oh,
like there isn't a better.
I think-
Strange Love with Brigitte Nielsen.
I think
and
this
Flavor
was.
Flav.
I think this was VH1, but
Oh,
Finding Love
God.
with Tila Tequila. Like,
Oh,
that was
yeah?
one of
Oh,
mine.
yeah.
I was
She-
a T1.
Again, you talk about those people that became weirdos. She's one of them. So
she is.
I
She
think
went
there's a lot to say
nuts.
about people that are on reality shows. And especially those early reality shows. Like
Oh, Bad Girls
Yeah.
Club on Oxygen.
I'm
Yeah,
a,
exactly.
I'm a,
That
I'm a
kind of
fan. I like Smut TV. What can I say?
Golf Course Air Horn. That was a classic.
Yeah,
When they're in the bushes blaring the
Oh,
air horn
yeah,
at the
see,
guys on the
that
tee
stuff
Stuff
my
box.
is
gosh.
funny.
As a golfer, I even laugh at that. And I guess that's a perfect segue. I mean, we got to talk about Tiger at the Hero World Challenge, right?
Yeah,
For
let's
the
do
next 2 hours. Or is it the golf ball rollback that the PGA announced?
is that what that is?
Oh, buddy, if you want to go 2 hours on golf ball rollback, we can do it.
I
I got
mean,
quotes from
we're-
Rory.
Hot golf ball talk.
I think off air we can talk a lot about that.
Well, if there was golf in the Northwest, Swag definitely covered that yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Guaranteed.
luckily, this show is called Football Sunday. So we're going to talk a lot of football. We got, of course, the final Pac-12 championship game. We have, basically, we have to sit here and be like, what does next year look like for the two Oregon teams?
This is a requiem for the Pac-12. That's pretty much what we're doing, right now. Like, that's it.
Can I just admit I was not ready to host a post-game show for a loss on Friday?
Oh, I wouldn't buddy, I'm right there with you.
I was not. I got to eat crow and say, man, I thought the Ducks were going to win.
Yeah.
Whoops.
We are about 45 minutes to an hour away from the college football playoff rankings, the final 4-team playoff rankings. Thank God. We got a lot to get to. Beavers. I want to touch on the Civil War just a little bit in the second hour since we weren't here last week, and Beavers' future after that game. We'll have the playoff announced. Who do you love in the second hour, which we will have the full slate of NFL games to choose from since it is before 10 a.m. And then, we'll see what we got going on after that. Sound good? All right. So let's first start with, unfortunately, the Oregon Ducks losing, I hate saying that word, to the Washington Huskies in the Pac-12 championship game on Friday. You can text into the Vancouver Ford text line 503-8646-FAN with your thoughts. But that's where we go next here. Rashad Taylor, Jordan Schultz, Joe Fisher, Football Sunday on 1080 The Fan.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road.
Like sports commentator, football fan. This is what we watched. This is what we saw as a collective out there. And then you're going to get irrational Ducks fan, alum Joe, that is not too happy. Is that fair? Is that fair that sometimes you're going to get a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing going on in this next few segments? Is that okay?
It's cool in the gang, bro.
All right. Well, with that being said, damn it! Damn it! I am 3 straight times by 3 points, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's brutal. Like, I can't keep like, I'm 31. I can't keep doing this. The ticker is not in good shape, I imagine, at this point. Being a Cowboys fan and then a Ducks fan, like, it can, no way. Damn it. All right. I hope that's it. I hope that's it of that. With that being said, what an effing game.
Man.
Like, that was football side. What a way to go out. Back and forth, drama, fourth downs, fumbles that are getting called back to incomplete passes, turnover ball followed by turnover. Right when you think the Ducks are out, huge 70-yard. Like, it was just from beginning to end. It was chaos in a sense. It was everything you wanted it to be as far as a football fan, a fan of the conference, and wanting it to be the last real bang of how you're going out. I mean, you got Washington, Oregon, one of the best, possibly the biggest rivalry in the conference of all time. Like, what else could you ask for? That was a playoff game, right? Like, that was essentially a playoff game.
Playoff game.
Those are two teams that are wholly deserved to go to the playoff. And fortunately for the Huskies and Washington, they pulled it out. And we can get to all the different factors. I think the biggest thing that determined this game, and it's like the only note I have wrote down, trenches with 3 exclamation points, line of scrimmage. And again, we have a lot of things we can get to, different players, impacts there. But I thought that is where that game was won, is that the offensive line and the defensive line, the defensive box for Washington, they took that game personal on both sides of the ball. And I feel like it clearly showed with the running backs performance. Johnson busting for another 100 and something yards like he did the first time.
152.
And then the defense, they were flying around. It was, again, football Joe, the guy who loves the game, tip of the cap to Washington because you showed up. You were the better team and you won that game.
I think it was, again, being in those trenches were an important part of the game because you were able to see who was tougher, in a lot of ways. And Washington showed that they were a little bit tougher, out there. That their offensive line pretty much did everything that they wanted to, for the most part.
I think they took it
the
very personal. Dorless saying earlier in the week that he wanted to get after Michael Penix and quote unquote, hurt him essentially. By the way, Penix did not look hurt at all.
No, he didn't. He didn't have a great game as far as like passing touchdowns. And I think a lot of people, because even coming in, I was like, man, Michael Penix Jr. didn't play great. And then I'm looking at the box and I was like, man, he did have 319 for,
No, he
was
hit
really.
Dunze and Polk on a couple of long balls.
Yeah.
I believe he hit McMillan with one as well. No, he played very well.
No, he did. And he made his receivers look like superstars, out there. And so I think everything was going the way Michael Penix Jr. kind of wanted to do. Everything every way that the Huskies wanted to go, on the ground, through the air, defensively. They showed up on those like close third and short, fourth and short situations, and they were able to show up the entire time. I think Oregon let a few things get away. There's a few should have been interceptions, and other plays that they just kind of let slip through their fingers, but figuratively, or literally and figuratively, I guess. But overall, I think Washington was just the better team. There was so much riding on this game. Like, this is for a lot of reasons, including the fact that it was the last one ever, the most important game in Oregon's history, more than likely. Like, think about it. Like, the Heisman was on the line. A trip to the playoff was on the line. The last ever Pac-12 championship that's going to be awarded was on the line. Like, all these different, things that would be a storyline in themselves. Any one of those, things would be the storyline of any game. And, you came up short. And when you say short, Joe, 3 points. Again, just 3. And so it's hard to – I know we had this whole argument a few weeks ago, and I was saying that, man, Washington was just a better team. Maybe not overall, maybe not throughout the season, but in that game, Washington was just better than Oregon was when it needed to happen. And then
I was saying here, it's like, well, Oregon is the better team right now with how they're performing, but the head-to-head showed that Washington was the better team at that moment. Well, this, to me, this seals it. Like, Washington
confirmation
was the better team then. And regardless of what they were the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, those close games, I know it was ugly. Well, you got your chance again, Oregon. and you didn't take advantage of it.
I
So
got-
who is the better team twice now?
I gotta lean into though, you guys. It was a close game. Maybe there's debate. It'll obviously forever be talked about that it was closer because of that Trayshawn Holden touchdown at the end, which was crazy and gave the Ducks a chance. I mean, really, until 40 seconds left, there was still life. But gosh, man, at one point in the third quarter, they had like a 74% chance on ESPN's odds to win the game. They were getting to it at some point, but that first quarter just killed them.
It started
guys.
so slow.
And if you talk about any of those two possessions, a field goal, some kind of pulse where you were, I think, 0 for everything except for one pass play, you had 9 yards. And you were out in 6 plays. You had the ball for less than 2 minutes in the first quarter. You can't do that. And it's so sad that I'm sitting there earlier in the week being like, well, you know what? If they don't score on their opening possession, it's probably going to end up where Washington covers. They don't just cover, they win. And that, even with Washington playing as well as they did, even with Dylan Johnson, I mean, they pulled out trick plays, you guys, to try and fool Oregon here. And they did. But even with that, Oregon still lost by 3. I'm sorry. I'm kind of leaning more on the damn it side with Joe because it was so close. And if Oregon looked at all above anemic in that first quarter, they would have won this game. So, yeah, you're right, guys. These teams are closely matched, but I'm sitting here still digging my heels in, very, very pissed.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the first game, Washington stole one. Right, man. Oregon they left a lot on the table. Washington just stole a game.
And that's why I think me and a lot of people thought that Oregon was still the better team.
Yeah.
But again, this one leaves no doubt. Like Washington was the better team today, or Friday rather, from beginning to end. Like you mentioned in the first quarter, like having the ball for however many minutes, 9 total yards. That's because Washington flew out the gate
everywhere.
and punched you in the mouth right away with their defense, 3 and out, 3 and out.
You
That
know,
whether that's
forcing-
execution, to me, that I see that as a defense that was ready to go right out the gate. And quite frankly, towards the end of the game, you were even see them still flying around, still have that passion that like they were ready. And I somewhat blame Vegas. Damn them for making them a 10-point dog, because you know that was in that locker room all week, them talking about that.
They forced Bo Nix into an early interception, I want to say in the second quarter. Like Bo Nix.
That was
has-
second half.
Was it second half?
Yeah, because it was right after when
Right
Penix
after, yeah.
threw his. So I think it was,
But-
I think early fourth or early third quarter. That was
Okay.
before
Yeah,
they
I know
took
it was
the lead.
just somewhere, earlier, but Bo Nix is a guy that has 3 total interceptions on the season. Right? He's got 40 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and they were doing a good job getting in his face and getting at him and forced him into a rare mistake, and so that's how you can tell this Washington team was motivated to go out there and show that, man, we deserve to be in this playoff. So, man, it sucks, if you're an Oregon fan, but congratulations to the Huskies, man. It's hard to beat a team in
Don't do
football.
that.
No, but seriously,
You
it's
can
hard-
say good game. You
it's-
don't have to say congratulations.
no, I mean, the truth, they're going. It's hard to beat a team twice in a season, right? In college football, it's really, really hard to do.
It is.
And so they did it twice within a month and a half. We're able to kind of do that. It's pretty impressive, man. Oregon isn't an easy team to beat. They've got 2 losses on their schedule, and they both come from the same squad. That's super, super impressive.
And props to Michael Penix's talent. Props to the wide receiver room's talent. That's just that. The wide receiver.
NFL. Those are NFL receivers.
All of them
the
showed up.
best
Straight
in
up.
The best in the crumbling Pac-12. I thought it was USC at the beginning of the season. Nope, no. McMillan, Adunze, Polk, and obviously they even had Giles Jackson back, who they did not have to use a year of his eligibility to bring him back. They kind of dinked and dunked, did not play him in the Wazoo game in the Apple Cup, and now they played him this week, and he didn't really affect at least the box score, but I think him being there definitely made it harder for the Ducks secondary.
Well, and gosh, who is it? Their return man, who I think had a touchdown. Jeremy Bernard.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, he
yeah,
did.
they're,
He only
was a
had
tight end, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had only 3 touches, but he did have a touchdown. But I
Says he's a
believe,
wide receiver.
but he was their return man. Also, he had that 32-yard punt return. That dude, I mean, he looked like 6'3", 215, 220. He was 6'1". It says he's 6'1", 203. He looks a lot bigger than that out there for sure. So Washington's got some dudes on the Vancouver Ford text line. You got a free 4 points in the first half on a bad PI call. Very true.
Yeah, that's true.
That at the end of the half there, I was saying they needed to get at least 3 points. Literally, I laughed out loud when they called that PI call on Washington because it seemed like Troy gave up on that play, Troy Franklin. So, yeah, I agree with the text line on it, but calls happen, refs F up, classic Pac-12 ref right there. So, you still won the game, Washington, even with that.
No. Yeah.
On the YouTube stream, the play calling in the first quarter was definitely head scratching. The Ducks just came out looking flat and uninspired in that first half on Friday, and they had to play catch up. That and the defense just got shredded by the Huskies wide receiver. On a side note, after that game Friday, I think Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman now, which we can get to maybe second hour because Rashad and I were talking about that before the show. But I do want to talk about this college football playoff coming up because Washington is in. There is a lot of conversations and people bitching and moaning about who should be in the Final Four. I don't think there's much of a debate.
No.
And we're going to do that next year on Football Sunday.
I guess.
Maybe. I don't think there is.
Yeah, maybe.
Rashad Taylor, Jordan Schultz, college football playoff talk. Who is going to be the Final Four? We do that next here, Football Sunday. But first, SportsCenter update, Jordan Schultz.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, just about half an hour before the college football playoff selection is revealed. We go over the conference schedule yesterday for all of the championships, and in a shocker, number 8, Alabama beating Georgia 27-24, your final there. In a not such shocking result, number 2, Michigan blanks number 16, Iowa 26-0. I believe the under still hit there. J.J. McCarthy throwing for 147 yards for Michigan in the win. 4th-ranked Florida State over Louisville, 16-6 the final, so they remain undefeated. Obviously going to throw a wrench in the college football playoff ranking committee's plans. Number 7, Texas over 18th-ranked Oklahoma State, 49-21. And once again, in about half an hour from now, we assume Washington will be the Pac-12 representative in the CFP, and interested to see if Georgia still slips in, or if it's Texas or Alabama. It's going to be chaos once again. The college football playoff selection show happening right now on ESPN, and we'll see the rankings here in just about 30 minutes. Elsewhere around the world of sports, in the NBA last night, your Portland Trailblazers losing to the Utah Jazz in overtime, 118-113 the final. Malcolm Brogdon and Shaden Sharp, your leaders, with 25 points each. Scoot Henderson off the bench, 21 minutes and 17 points for your Blazers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Wager on all pro and college games every week at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Highkin. Download the Rose Garden Report on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you ready to step up your grilling game? Grillworks Supply Company in Beaverton is ready to make you the ultimate pit master, carrying top brands in barbecue.
right. You guys ready for some college football playoffs?
Let's hear it, man. Let's do it.
Well, you're gonna have to wait a month
Because
the games
the
are.
games are, but
So, if you're ready, I'm sorry, but there will be the teams announced today.
I mean, it's
Very
hey,
shortly.
It is like a month, isn't it? Today's like the 3rd, right?
I watched
That it is.
Yeah.
I watched all the games yesterday, but I was still pretty pissed.
Oh, dude, damn it!
Thank you, Joe.
I got over it real quick,
That's
man.
gonna be a sounder.
Nothing
course you
tequila
did.
won't fix.
All right.
You
Of
know.
course you got over it. Well, hey, for me, I instantly turned that game off and I turned on 72 most dangerous places to live. And it made me feel a little bit better that there were worse places at that very moment than the state I was in
Silver
Friday night.
lining. Silver
Yeah.
lining, bro.
Like, God, my life is terrible. Let's learn about Jakarta going underwater. No?
yeah, you
Oh.
definitely want to be, in the Northwest.
What's
You
going
know,
on there in
so-
Djibouti? How hard is it to live there?
Somalia. Okay, well, I could be a Ducks fan in Somalia. Yeah. Made me
Could.
feel a little bit better.
Yeah, you could, but yeah, I think you're.
Is there a
I think you're
Ducks
good
bar
where
in
you are.
Somalia?
I don't think so.
I don't think there's a lot of things in Somalia. Have you ever watched Dark Tourist, by the way?
Dark tourist
On Netflix?
sounds racist, but no.
No, it's a white dude that is
Okay,
on it.
so whoa,
The seedy stuff of the
okay.
world there, Rashad.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do
and
with
it's
actual
hosted by a
race.
white dude.
wow.
Oh,
Wow.
jeez.
Wow.
When does it end?
Jeez.
When does it end?
So college football? What just happened? I blacked out there. I mean, I drove in this morning listening to the ESPN show before us and having to listen to, I think Matt Jones is his name, of ESPN, bitch and moan and cry about how can you leave the SEC out of it? And he's a Kentucky grad, a Kentucky fan.
Which they have nothing going on at Kentucky besides basketball.
And they don't even have that because they just lost to UNC Greensboro
Is Calipari
at
still
Rupp
even
Arena
there?
the other night, by the way. Yes, I believe so. I don't know.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Just
We digress.
Yeah.
I have never been one to root for the teams in the conference that are at a higher stage or a higher level than the team I root for in my affiliation. This is the fan Joe. This is the irrational Joe. All right, well, Washington, you won, so go to the college football playoff and you go and represent the Pac-12, man. No, that's not Oregon. That should be Oregon in my eyes because Oregon is that good and at that level that they could be in a playoff, right? Obviously this year, not year because they lost to a team that was better, but that's the level they're striving for, right?
Right.
To go to Rose Bowls, college football playoffs, like that. They want to get to that point. So if I see a team in the Pac-12 that is doing that, why should I why am I going to be happy about that? Why am I going to root for that team? If I don't even care if it was Washington, insert Utah, USC. I don't want those teams winning. I don't want them to look better than my team.
So with that, do you not? I mean, I understand not wanting them to win within the conference, right? But let's just say it's one of those, early college football weeks or the last, game of the year is the bowl game. You don't want Utah to beat, I don't know, Florida when they're playing each other, when they played each other early in the year.
Because if Utah loses that game, you know what I do? Is I just laugh at them and make fun of them. Because it's all right, cool, you had an opportunity to win a game, and if you win it, good for you, Utah. You beat Florida in the swamp, at home, whatever, cool. Good for Utah. I don't see it hell yeah, Pac-12, we did it again.
Well, and I think the reason,
no,
actually,
absolutely not.
I am one of those guys, and
And
here's
look
why.
where it got us. There is no Pac-12
Yeah.
anymore. All that conference pride.
Well, that wasn't our fault, man. You can.
that I would actually
Yeah.
champion that. That's more guys like you, Joe, your fault because of the lack of support for the conference.
Yes,
in general.
I was the
No,
reason.
I'm not
that-
saying
I
you're
think
the
so.
driving force.
No,
but the
that's what
lack-
he's saying. It's you. No.
Yeah, you and Larry Scott. Damn you, Joe.
the fans that don't actually care about the other teams in the conference and have that conference. I just don't. I think there was someone else. I think it's Big John. He has the same feeling too. If it ain't the Cougs, why should I care?
And you know why? Because Big John is a Coug. You are a Duck. When it's one of those things, I totally understand. the Pac-12 was also made up of a lot of people who went to Eastern Washington and a lot of people who went to Portland State and a lot of people who didn't go to these Pac-10, Pac-12 school, Pac-8.
Yeah, I went to Mount Hood Community College.
Yeah, and so like you have a lot of people that still have love for the Ducks, still have love for the Bees.
Go Yetis.
If you're me,
what's the Mount Hood Community College mascot?
I believe it's the St. Bernards, or now they just go by the Saints, because I think St. Bernards is great. Like, don't drop the Bernards part of it. Come on.
Yeah, that so I totally get that part, but I think what it is we look at the disrespect that the Pac-12, Oregon, Washington, whomever gets from around the country, and it's almost kind of like taking offense. Like, man, we got USC over here, we've got Washington over here, we got some teams that are legit over here in the Pac-12, and we just beat each other up all the time. And people look at the Pac-12 and say finesse football. That's what they've always said. Not as tough. They're softer than the SEC. They're softer than the Big Ten. They don't know how to play football in those elements. So if you're me, I'm looking at like, no, man, Oregon's legit. Washington's legit. Oregon State now is legit. There's some great teams with here in the Pac-12, and so then you become defensive of. That's why if you're me or people like me, yeah, we pull for the conference. So now when they do play a Big Ten team and Oregon State clobbers Iowa or something like that, you're like,
Cal almost beats Auburn like they did earlier in the year.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we do play football over here. Or when Utah goes into the swamp early like they did earlier this year and pull out a win. It's like, yeah, that's Pac-12 football right there on the SEC's ass. That's what we do over here. Pause.
And then I see it as like, cool, that'll be a lot better when Oregon beats them, because then that'll make Oregon look a lot better.
But when it comes to fruition right now, as we're sitting here saying that Washington may be a 3 seed, you're one of your 3 undefeated teams is going to be a 3 seed potentially.
They'll be the 2 seed. It will be Michigan will be 1, Washington will be 2. Whether they put Texas above Florida State, and this is where I say there isn't a debate. And listening to that Matt Jones on ESPN all morning bitch and moan about you can't leave the SEC out. It's like, well, let's do this, all right? Alabama beat Georgia. Alabama's better than Georgia, right?
That's what it's yeah.
Texas beat Alabama in Alabama by double digits, so Texas is better than Alabama.
That's what it says.
All right, so that settles that right away. So Texas is better than those 2 teams. And then are we just gonna throw away the precedent of undefeated Power 5 teams that has been set for the last, 10 years.
And both Michigan and Washington have essentially beaten 2 top 10 teams, Washington being Oregon twice.
And I'm sorry, Florida State, who did they beat at the very beginning of the season? Oh, yeah, LSU with the quarterback who is now
the favorite for the Heisman.
Maybe going to win the Heisman, front runner after what happened on
and so you know why? Because there's somebody out there that values the SEC, and they value the conference. Of course, we know Alabama and Georgia are the crown jewels.
But outside of those two, like SEC this year, Ole Miss played
reputation,
Georgia and got smacked. Alabama, they won all their games. Like they played, I think it was Alabama over Tennessee. Tennessee lost to Georgia 38-10. It was Alabama and Georgia, and that was it.
Yeah.
Missouri had a good season.
No, Alabama lost to Texas. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah,
thank you. Well, Alabama, if they played Tennessee, they beat them, obviously. But
yes.
Missouri was close this year, but even when they played Georgia, lost by 10.
Alabama's schedule was harder than Georgia's overall. That's not even a question.
But also, with that being said, Alabama, 3-point win over Texas A&M. How'd they do this year? 3-point win over Arkansas. How'd they do? What? 14-point win, 17-3 victory over UAB.
Because the reputation of the SEC is it's a meat grinder, but it's not. But in the Pac-12, we're soft, right? And I think that's why. And I think that's the reason that people kind of cape so hard for the Pac-12, because you expect for them to have close games with subpar teams. For us, like Texas A&M, like even Dan Lanning was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Don't want to go to Texas A&M. We'll stay right here in the Pac-12 at this point because it's a better job, because there were better teams over here, but it's reputation that we value the SEC as what it is what it's always been.
Yeah, Joe, what you hoped for with the Pac-12 kind of just having one blue blood at the top at the end is frankly hurt the reputation of the conference and been one of the reasons why it's dying over the past decade and a half, because everybody looks like perfect example. Rashad just said the SEC's a meat grinder. The Pac-12 has been a meat grinder, too.
Forever.
They cannibalize the hell out of each other, but for some reason, we've called that a negative, and in the SEC, it's a positive. I digress. The Pac-12 is dead now.
Have a comment from our guy Adam Jones on the YouTube stream.
Shout out to Adam Jones.
I'm an LSU fan, and I will never root for another SEC team.
Did
ever.
Adam go to LSU, or is he from?
See, I don't want to hear that because I
think it's a thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I told you before the show. Like one of my best friends is a Miami Hurricanes fan. Didn't go to Miami, just loved him from the U days. That guy screams from a mountaintop how undervalued, underestimated, underappreciated the ACC is. Look how many guys go into the NFL. And I tell him, like, cool. So, and that got what? Clemson a national champion? Like, are you happy for Clemson? Are you happy for Florida State's national championship when they beat Auburn a couple? Like you're rooting for your rivals.
It legitimizes your. It's almost like being not happy, but being able to stomach the fact that if you're in the NBA playoffs, you lost to the eventual champion. Like, at least in this case, if you like, I feel better about somebody from my conference winning because that at least says that, okay, well, we were close or we're doing the right thing, or had we not lost that game or that 2 games, then we could have been right there with them. And I think that's what that is for a lot of people is like, yeah, as a conference, we're legit. And if the people don't respect you as a conference, then you end up as potentially the 3 seed. Like I keep seeing people saying Washington could potentially end up there. I'm like, it's hard to say. Talking about Florida State, there's a team that might not make it in at all. There's the people saying Florida State, because their quarterback situation, they might not make it. An undefeated Florida State Seminoles team.
Which city burns down tonight, Tuscaloosa or Tallahassee?
Ooh,
No.
Tuscaloosa.
I think Tallahassee's going to be pissed. I think
You think they're left out?
Unfortunately, I mean, we talked about, I think it was either, on Sports Sunday a couple weeks ago, or like we were taking.
When Jordan Travis went down.
Yeah, it was. And you were asking, well, what should the committee do here? And I remember chiming in and say, you know what? I understand we're talking about the top 4 teams, and that's the committee's decision, but there's a couple of ambiguous terms left in their ultimate reasoning. So, and the reasons for that are because you're supposed to kind of feel it. You're supposed to see what's happening at that time. And yeah, the quarterback went down, but isn't the rest of the team still damn good? They won yesterday in the conference championship. I don't see a reason why they should be left out, but unfortunately, with the stacked nature of a 4-team playoff, somebody has to be. And frankly, I think Georgia should be in above them, but I also think Florida State should be in. So, you know what? I don't think you should penalize them for taking, an injury to their quarterback. However, I don't know how you include them either.
Well, thank God this is the last year of the 14 playoffs.
Right.
No kidding.
I think this is like the perfect timing for all that, where it's like, what the hell do we do? These teams deserve. I mean, literally the top 8, whoever gets left out, Georgia, Alabama, and even Oregon, like all those teams are great teams that deserve a shot at a larger tournament. And we're going to get it next year.
And essentially, like you guys said, the Oregon-Washington game was a playoff game. Last year of a 14 playoff, next year it would have been a playoff game, most likely, or some similar matchup.
Going to read some text. You can text in to the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Read your thoughts. Who do you think is going to be that 4th team in? I am curious to see what the listeners out there think as far as what they value more, the undefeated season, just the overall eye test of what they're seeing from Alabama. I'm curious. We get to that next as we wrap up hour 1, and then we will be getting those college football rankings, the final one, very shortly after. We do that next here. Football Sunday, 1080 The Fan. Oh. Just talking about Tom Brady being amazing.
Yeah,
Annoying.
I mean, unless we're Alex Smith, you know. So he had some things to say about Brady, you know, and Rex Ryan and the AFC East at that point.
I would assume Tom Brady is kind of an ass off the field.
You think so?
Kind of a jerk. He's one of those guys that strikes me as somebody that very, very carefully curates his public image, you know, in front of the cameras, out public, but very, very privately, he's an a-hole. And I've seen, gosh, I think in his breakup with Gisele Bundchen, like there were clips of, you know, of the angry Tom Brady going around, which, yeah, I get it. You know, he's in the middle of a divorce. He's not going to be like totally cool-headed, but like it's like, oh, that's a glimpse into the real Tom there. There it is. Right
College football playoff selection show next.
Is it?
On ESPN if you want to watch that. But I would say you can watch it, just don't listen to it. You turn those speakers down and you keep listening to us, is what I was going to say. Man, everybody on the Texans on the ESPN show over the Broncos.
Why shouldn't they be?
CJ Stroud is real, bro.
By the way, who do you love in the second hour? But text line, people say the SEC cannibalizes themselves. That's BS. They play less conference games. The best teams intentionally don't play each other in the regular season. Washington played Oregon. Ohio State played Michigan. Texas played Oklahoma. And Clemson played Florida State. The SEC is a paper conference. I'll disagree with the first part that I don't feel like I hear anybody ever say the SEC cannibalizes themselves. That's the Pac-12. That's what's been the Pac-12 for the last decade now, is that someone's there at the end and then an Arizona State or someone trips them up. And, you know, that's what we've seen with Oregon. I mean, UCLA versus USC long time ago. I think that was BCS days. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a scapegoat. I mean, it is one of the best ways to have an extra win on the conference and make yourself look better. And I hope at this point the committee sees through all that BS. I hope that they trust me. And I think like Kentucky's AD is on the college football playoff board. And of course, there's guys from all different conferences. But I hope that everybody is in that room, laments on the fact and kind of like makes fun of the SEC for that and tells them like, yeah, but you guys don't play football like we do. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, well, you only play a conference game. Like the rest of us are. Like, I would love to be in the room if they were doing that. You know, I would love to just be a fly on the wall in that room in general. Like, do you think it gets petty in that room between some of those people, like them saying some like passive aggressive stuff and like, well,
the head of the committee's name is Boo. What do you think?
At least we didn't lose to or beat Arkansas by only 3 points. Wait, what'd you say? Nothing.
Yeah, they call these players thoroughbreds in that meeting. In that meeting. No,
they're
I
like
mean,
Cartman.
yeah, I think it's probably a real
college athlete.
It's a lot of money in the room, and a lot of people trying to also. And that's the big thing. Was it last year that Cincinnati got in? Was it last
2 years ago?
A couple years ago that
year,
Cincinnati and TCU got in. I'm curious.
Well, Cincinnati 2 years ago,
and TCU last year.
Which
I'm curious what the ratings were for either one of those games.
Didn't
that they played.
TCU last year's national championship game was really good?
And I'm sorry, didn't TCU get in even after losing to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship
I
game?
believe they did, and there was a little controversy because of that.
So I'm going to go on a limb here, but I'm going to assume that the ratings for the TCU or the Cincinnati games weren't incredibly high because not no one, but the masses probably don't really want to see those teams and really know even who played.
Georgia ran over them, but it was still a good game.
Was it? Okay.
I mean, I enjoyed watching Stetson Bennett go off for 60-plus points and Georgia just absolutely roll.
Over TCU?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you see an ass kicking like that, it's kind of like definitive, and you can have the rest of your night to yourself, quite honestly.
But I
don't got to watch the whole thing.
I think this committee is going to look at who's potentially going to be able to make them the most money. Like, let's just be.
Don't do that.
I know it sounds bad, but at this point, college sports has given me no reason to not believe that they're not all about cash.
Oh, trust me.
That's it. So, I mean, as I'm looking at the ESPN page right now, and it's, Alabama and Dr. Pepper and all the, like, hey man, like it's big money for these playoff games. You're talking about the last 4 teams, last 3 football games of the year. They're trying to get every single penny out of this game. Remember last year when everybody was like, oh man, we hope there's a good chance it could be Michigan and Ohio State playing against each other for, I think it was maybe a first round or second round game,
Yeah.
or
Well, it would have been
championship game,
round.
game, yeah, or was it the first round?
They played.
Either way, they wanted
Michigan
potentially to
played
get,
TCU, so
but
Michigan
they were
could have been
talking
in the
about
championship
potentially
game anyways.
a Michigan Ohio State game for the playoff and how much money that would bring in. So yeah,
but
we
they
have
didn't
to
do it.
They didn't, which is a good thing because I think they probably wanted them to play each other in the championship.
Well, and let's be real too. It's not like, if you choose Florida State over Alabama, you're not choosing Cincinnati. This is Florida
No, you're
State. Like this, like
100%.
huge fan base, huge following still. So as far as like eyeballs, like people are still clearly going to care about that game. Do you think it's going to be Florida State or Alabama? Because we're going to get the answer here in about
Alabama.
5
I'm saying
minutes.
Alabama.
You're saying Alabama.
I'm saying that looking at their strength of schedule, that they're going to have to be. And although the recent AP poll that just came out 20 minutes ago showed Texas at number 3, so this is just going to be wacky.
It's going to be hard to keep out an undefeated team
in a Power 5
in a Power 5 conference, like, and if it were another team that maybe didn't have the pedigree of a Florida State, I'd probably say something different. But undefeated Florida State, how do you keep them out? You don't.
Nasty defense.
I'm saying you don't.
No, Seminole fans are going to be pissed.
Yeah, you don't keep them out.
So Tallahassee burns, Tuscaloosa burns. I'm going with Tuscaloosa is not going to be happy.
I don't think they'll be happy. I think they'll be just fine, but I think Tallahassee will burn that joint to the ground.
Nick Saban going to be grinning in his $20 million mansion or whatever.
His lake house, yeah. Well, 3, 2, and 1. ESPN switching over to the College Football Playoff Selection Show. So we will take our break and come right back. And hopefully we will be able to react live with all of you as you're all figuring out. Next, here on Football Sunday with Rashad Taylor, Jordan Schultz on 1080 The Fan.
A lot of land comes with a lot of work. The new Kubota MX Series has a lot to offer, including the versatility to mow, move hay bales, grade roads, and clear brush and snow.
Woo! Football Sunday. That's right, Rashad. We aren't going anywhere.
This song's probably gonna have to go somewhere.
Oh, I mean,
Man, your boy Puffy, man.
listen. Did not age well.
Not at all.
Did I foresee what was going to happen before the season? No. So we're going to get through this here.
Before this season.
Listen, Dirt and Sprague had this with their closed music a couple years ago. They were using MJ, and you know some things happen in society where it's like that song doesn't hit like it used to.
No.
But that beat goes.
We were gonna use "I Believe I Can Fly" to end the show,
No,
but
not really.
for obvious reasons,
Real
we're not
talk.
gonna do that anymore. Yeah, real talk. That's the one we should do next time.
Actually, in all the music, hot like pop culture news talk, whatever. Do you see Lady Gaga? This had to have come out recently.
Another meat dress.
No, has nothing to do with her dresses. Actually, Lady Gaga pulling one over on every radio station across America. I think maybe the world, besides Kiss 108, which I believe is in Los Angeles. Her song "Poker Face." There's in the middle of it where she's going poker face. Well,
yep.
there's a sing where she switches from poker face to sing F, and nobody really picked it up. Nobody.
Nice.
We're talking no radio stations except one, and this had to have been a recent TikTok. Was it a show talking about how, well, she pulled one over on basically everybody.
And so
Letting
all those
F for her.
stations got fined by the FCC, and Lady Gaga, with her millions of dollars, just got to sit in her mansion laughing at all these people and all these broadcast companies and, well, not companies, but
It's a great practical
Market,
joke.
yeah.
Good job. Lady Gaga.
I don't even think the FCC, that's the funny part, I don't think the FCC even caught it. Nobody caught it.
well,
We're-
I think it's like someone has to complain for the FCC to actually
Exactly.
do something, which I'm going to guess there was maybe one listener out there that complained.
let's lean into it. Probably wasn't like the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake Super Bowl complaint.
All-timer.
500,000 complaints
I
in the
don't know
FCC.
who was
I cannot
complaining.
believe.
Who was complaining? Did you complain?
Oh, no.
No.
You
Did you
should see it.
complain?
I had the O face after that. I was, right there, YouTube. That was my face when I saw Janet Jackson in that
Well, you were like
pasty.
9, right? Because I was like 12 or 13. So all formidable years for us here. in
Oh,
the
So
God.
I was. in my-
I didn't
I
know what
was
a pasty
early 20s.
was.
I was early 20s. I was. Hey man, yes, that was an awesome moment.
What year was that?
Penny from Good Times showed her
gotta be
boobs on TV.
2001,
Yes.
2 or 3. I think.
We gotta. What I'm totally spacing on. What's the place in Washington D.C. where we have a bunch of artifacts?
National
Smithsonian.
Archives.
Smithsonian.
Oh,
Thank
the
you.
Smithsonian.
Yeah, we just need like a picture of JT and Janet in that very moment at the Super Bowl. Like that is a moment that changed our country.
It was.
It really did.
It really was, man. It brought us all together. I thought, and made us all closer.
Janet Jackson's boob.
One of the
yeah.
first real viral moments to ever, especially like kind of the dawn of the internet and stuff like that, is one of the first real viral moments.
Buddy.
Tuning into the halftime show to see a wholesome music performance, and I end up seeing a pornography.
Boobies.
I'm on the wiki page for right now. The incident, sometimes referred to as Nipplegate or Janetgate.
We've never called it that.
Also brought us the term wardrobe malfunction. I believe
Wardrobe
that
malfunction
one
was that
incident brought-
term.
That is
Yes.
so stupid. What is a wardrobe malfunction? Nothing. It's a coined term that we had to come up with as the media. Like,
Hey.
we're stupid.
I am just going to let you know that this year's Super Bowl, well, it's not going to be the Super Bowl, but it will be the 20th anniversary of that halftime performance.
So it was 03 or 04?
2004, February 1st,
04, thank you.
2004. So once we get to that point of that, it's going to be, we have gone 20 Super Bowls.
And no
Since then.
nipples since then.
Do we get
during
a
the Super
Janet
Bowl.
Jackson
I
and
don't know.
JT appearance at this year's Super Bowl halftime show?
Probably, well, Usher is there, so you might get a nipple.
Honestly, Usher and JT and Janet, like they're all, I know Janet's older, but they were all releasing hits at the same time. Like,
Weren't Usher and JT both on Lindsay Lohan's Shtup list? I don't know. That's
Really?
many,
I
I'm
don't
sure.
know.
But,
Well, she had a written list.
I mean, I was, all right, at one point.
Damn you, Joe.
Only
I'm
a
jealous of that.
Only a couple years ago, though.
I was too.
She was
It was
scraping the
on.
bottom.
jealous of both of you.
She was scraping the bottom of the barrel at that point. As
Yeah,
you can
things weren't
tell,
going well for Linz at that point.
we're filibustering and
Yes, we
stalling
are.
Until they're going on location to each one of these
Oh, God.
schools.
They're not
and
going
their
to announce
watch
this until like
parties and-
9:45, dude.
This is one of the worst parts about basically ESPN is how much they lie about when things are going to happen. They're like, all right,
Oh, they're gonna drag this.
9
joint out.
o'clock is when we get their rankings. And it's like, well, that's when the broadcast starts, and then at 9:25 is when you're going to tell me who teams 20 through 25 are.
They're going to
Sorry,
check
then you're
in
gonna
from
take a
every
commercial
campus.
break.
They're going to check in from every single campus and let us know that
And we're live at SMU.
And I
Apparently-
care
knocked off
zero.
Tulane. And-
About all
apparently
of those
Michigan was
reporters.
partying until 4 a.m.
I mean, I
Tight. Like, we don't, that's information that we don't really need, but cool. Thank you
Right.
for letting us know the college kids were kicking it after they just won a championship.
Molly McGrath live from University Place. Looks like a guy's doing a beer bong behind you. Talk about that party progression last night.
honestly, she doesn't. I mean, she can just stay on this TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
If
do.
they,
I
if they
love
could just
Molly
have
McGrath.
her do the college football playoff
I bet her
announcement.
hair smells good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's getting a little.
Herbal essence.
Something bathwathing I think.
Yeah,
is,
right.
All right.
Jeez, guys. What the hell are we doing?
Molly McGrath.
You're gonna start soliciting like feet pics live on air. Let's go to something else.
Bro, that's the next step of evolution with 1080 The Fan. We've talked about this with Patrick Harris, is that he needs to start doing feet videos for our stream. And then
Don't they have a site for that? Like a whole site that people are,
Oh, yeah.
are on
1080
now?
The OnlyFans is what I'm calling it.
Oh, I like it.
the only.
I like it.
We get Will Ortner, Patrick Harris, and Suk in here from some sort of bald fetish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we got a lot of different angles we can go.
A lot of
like it.
ladies love the bald head. I don't know why, but they do. Because I'm not a woman, so I can't even begin to understand that. But they're into it.
Love the bald boys. All right, let's take a break. Hopefully we have it. Rashad, you look, you throwing your hand up. You look upset. What's
I'm
wrong?
like, why? Where's
Where's Molly?
where's Washington?
Oh no, these are the teams that they're just showing they're showing the 4 teams that are on the quote unquote bubble. Like
I like it.
Washington's good. I don't know why you're tripping about Washington.
Because man, I feel like that Pac-12 hate is about to come in to play somewhere today. I feel like they're gonna do something weird.
The last commercial break, Rashad's like, "Whoa, they just showed a graphic and Washington was on." I was like,
Don't
"Dude,
like it.
I was like, "It's a graphic."
Don't
all
like
right?
it, man.
Rashad. I love
Already
you.
They're in.
the fact that they're not talking about Washington enough since this broadcast has started has me worried.
They just had Molly McGrath in Washington.
You watch sports and programs about sports just like I
Listen,
do, and I love
Molly
it.
McGrath was very distracting, so I understand if you don't know where she was or who she
There's
was.
a big
even talking
W
about.
next to her name. I get it. You know.
Can I spice things up next segment with some simulated BCS standings for the Final Four?
Yeah, let's get the BCS Final Four first before the actual Final Four. Because
No, and this is a spicy one. This is.
it's always nice to remind ourselves of where we used to be and how far we've come. All right, so let's take one more break, and hopefully ESPN will stop lying to us and actually give us some rankings. Like I said, they'll do 25 to 20, and then 19 to 15, and then 14 to 10 commercial break, and we're not going to find this out until like 9:45. So
Yeah, don't like Marty Smith's tie and suit though. I don't like that.
I have feelings about Marty Smith, but
He was on NASCAR and golf coverage at one point.
He looks
during
like
the
he can
same
do
year.
all that stuff. Like
no,
he looks like a NASCAR
golf,
guy.
He was terrible at golf. NASCAR, that's where he fits. Football,
Literally,
yes.
all-
Golf, no.
all it is because of the accent.
They threw him on
You put
Masters
a
coverage.
generic ass white dude voice like mine on that body. He ain't getting all that. All those calls. Hey, can you go to this game? Can you go cover that? Because of that southern drawl he has. And I'm telling you, I talked to Nick Saban last night. He said we did what we had to do.
He does have cool hair. He's got Jesse Palmer-esque hair though.
He's a good looking dude.
Yeah.
You know, he's the pink tie with the blazer. It's a good.
I don't like the shirt. That's what's killing me.
Yeah, the undershirt that doesn't really match everything right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Don't like it.
Laura Rutledge looking good as well. All right, we break. Hopefully, I have a top 4 college football player for you next here on Football Sunday.
Tony Spezza here with AAA Heating and Cooling. Do you know
right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. More
I
than
would say
likely.
so.
I mean, unless they win I think if they win the national championship, I think yes. This is his last.
Oh, either way.
Yeah, I think that is the best way that you can go out if you're Jim Harbaugh is national championship for Michigan. I've done my part. See ya. Best of luck to you all. And the other undefeated team, Washington, 13-0. They are your number 2 ranked team. So number 1 and number 2, not much of a surprise.
We did it,
Everybody out there-
Pac-12.
Shut up.
Matching the
Get outta here.
hypothetical BCS
We did it.
rankings.
Pac-12, we're on top.
The disrespect to Washington in that the pre-show.
They wasn't talking about the Huskies enough. I didn't like it.
Not enough graphics of them.
Not at all.
Molly McGrath.
So Washington Huskies. Yeah, cool. Good for them. Whatever.
No, this is where it gets very hairy, though. 3-4. Oh, my gosh. man.
Number 3, I think you got to give it to Texas here. Like, I think that they won a better conference. They are a better team. They beat Alabama. They looked convincing as hell against Oklahoma State. Offensive firepower, Quinn Ewers. Like, there's so many factors to why that team is a better team than Florida State. And there they are at number 3, Texas, 12-1. So you will get Washington versus Texas.
Wow, the Texas Longhorns
In the college
upset.
football playoff.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good one. And
Oh,
Florida State,
my
I
God.
think Florida State has to be in the 4th spot. But,
Not Alabama, huh? I think.
I
It's
mean,
gonna be
again,
Alabama.
I think it's hard for you to keep an undefeated
Power 5.
Power 5 out of the playoff. Like,
Power
I think
5
there
is
needs
the
to be
differentiator.
something for being an undefeated team in college football, which is incredibly hard to do. And so, if you got the 2 other undefeated teams up there, there's no reason that Florida State wouldn't be.
Hey, fair to say that Texas is back?
I think so.
First college football playoff for Texas.
I think so.
How about that? All right.
Colt McCoy isn't walking through that door anytime soon.
We're
so.
sitting here waiting for them to reveal that number 4 team.
Florida State or
Whether
Alabama.
it's Florida
It's not
State-
going to be Georgia. It's not at this point. If Texas is in, we're not going to see Georgia in. I truly believe that. Unfortunately for you Bulldog fans.
And what do? Of course, before showing the 4th team, they got to throw up another graphic comparing the resumes. How much do you want to bet they go to commercial break here?
Oh,
I
man.
really hope
Do you think they're going to pull that on us?
My unborn kid.
They're going to pull an American Idol, and we're going to find out
Right after the spring.
right after this
the
commercial break.
Damn
NBA
it,
can
secret.
only stretch the the draft lottery out like half an hour. So this can't be stretched out more than like 20 minutes.
And the 4th team will be revealed after this commercial break. Yeah, I mean, they're looking at the strength of schedule rank. Bama has a 5th best strength of schedule rank and a 4th strength of record.
Yeah,
For
Georgia's way
Florida
down.
State, theirs is 3rd for record because they're undefeated, but 55th strength of schedule. They got the graphic back up.
It's gonna be Alabama, guys. I'm
No.
telling
Oh my God!
Oh, 6. Okay.
They teased the
you.
hell out of
No!
us.
Oh, they did it too. Oh, I thought it was gonna be Georgia at number 4. They put them at 6.
This is extremely hard to watch when you don't have audio because I'm sure that
No,
entire
seriously.
time they were like, all right, we're going to show you the number 6 team first. And we're sitting here,
Bastards.
we're sitting here waiting for them to reveal.
They went 1, 2, 3, 6.
So,
Oh my God.
That's how they laid it out for
so
us.
no, here's where it gets sticky because they're going to announce 5, and then we're going to pretty much know
Guys,
who
it's going
4
to be
is off
Alabama
top.
over Florida State. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
And the number 4 team is Alabama.
Alabama.
At 12-1, they give Alabama
Wow.
the final college football
Wow.
playoff.
Told you all, Tuscaloosa, Tallahassee.
Wow.
It's gonna be the Tallahassee burn tonight.
Oh,
I
man.
cannot believe
that's a tragedy, man.
That- you guys, you knew it
I've
was
got to
gonna
be
happen.
honest, man.
I
That's
cannot
a tragedy
believe they just did that.
to an undefeated team. Like
I
that's crazy to me.
I mean, do you think if their quarterback didn't go down that they would be in?
They won games with their quarterback being down, like 13-0. Like they still
Yeah,
won 2
Rodemaker.
games.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they won 2 games with Rodemaker.
So-
under center.
I'm just looking at the Twitter timeline right now. Jeff Schwartz, former Oregon Duck, saying, wow, they actually did it. I can't believe it. So Jeff Schwartz also with us, like, I'm shocked. But
Crazy.
with that all being said, and I'm sorry, guys, I think we're going to have to, like, put Hootie Love on the back burner.
I'm with it.
I
That's
think
okay.
we're going to
We
have
gotta
to say
react to
screw it this week. Because we got to talk now about our official college football playoff matchups, which are Michigan, the 1 seed, versus the number 4 seed, Alabama.
Going to be a great game.
And that will be your Rose Bowl game. And then the All-State Sugar Bowl will be number 2 Washington versus number 3 Texas. Text in, type into the YouTube stream, react with us. We're going to talk about all of it next here, Football Sunday, 1080 The Fan. But first, Jordan Schultz with a Sports Center update.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, we know who is going to be in the college football playoff. The selection show just revealing the top 4, and it is as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4, Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. That means the Florida State Seminoles and Georgia Bulldogs are on the outside looking in for 2023. So you're going to have Texas matching up against Washington, the 2 and 3 in the Rose Bowl, and then you got Michigan and Alabama in the 1v4 slot. Once again, it's going Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. Georgia and Florida State on the outside looking in for the college football playoff. That is, of course, because in the conference finals yesterday, you had Alabama over Georgia 27-24, and of course, Florida State getting the win over Louisville, but not mattering much, apparently, according to the committee. Number 7, Texas's win over 18 Oklahoma State 49-21, mattering much more. Moving on to the association, the Portland Trail Blazers taking on the Utah Jazz on the road last night. Not great. It went to overtime, but they ended up losing 118-113 your final. Malcolm Brogdon and Shaden Sharp, each with 25 points, leading the way for your Blazers. Scoot Henderson off the bench. He did score 17 points in 21 minutes. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college games every week at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's
after you get screwed sometimes.
Yeah, lots.
Florida State, jeez.
Yeah, smoking that Florida State pack tonight. Some thoughts on the text line rematch from last year's Alamo Bowl, Washington versus Texas. Very true. Completely forgot because it was the Alamo Bowl. Not good memories at the Alamo Bowl. Another Texas is back. I think so. Horns up, baby. Horns up. I'm burnt orange for the next month. Let's go.
This guy can't support the rest of the Pac-12, but he's going to support Texas. Look at this guy over here, man.
Hey, that's Pac-12.
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose.
Was supposed to be.
Yeah,
Pac-12. This is a great point, and I'm sure Michigan is not too happy about it, but someone's saying, ha, 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 have fun, Michigan. Yeah, being the number 1 ranked team in the country and having to play in Alabama in an SEC school, not ideal, but hey, Texas beat Alabama. They're better, so they're ranked higher. Washington is undefeated. It all lines up. I cannot believe that they left Florida State out. I mean, looking at other tweets and reactions, I got to find Brandon Sprague's because I saw that he just tweeted out his a little bit ago. But, here it is. Oh, my God. They effing did it, undefeated with a conference championship, and the committee goes out bending things for the SEC. That's true. I mean, this is, Rashad, we're talking in the commercial break. It's like, all right, they clearly value that SEC championship win more than an ACC championship win. The strength of schedule showed the difference between the two. Fourth strongest schedule for Alabama, 55th for Florida State. And I know I brought it up a couple weeks, and it sucks to say because it's just one player on a team of 80, 90 dudes. And as I said in the commercial break to Rashad, that Florida State defense is nasty.
It's good.
They clearly felt some way about this Florida State team at this point, where it's like they could not advance them. And if you're a Florida State fan, you probably have this deep down feeling knowing like you can't beat any of these 4 teams straight up. But the fact that you couldn't even get a chance, right? Like Michigan's defense and Florida State's defense, that's like almost like 1A, 1B in a sense. And Michigan's defense a little bit better, but Florida State's defense is a playoff caliber defense. But there's 2 sides of the ball. And the way that they looked at Alabama is that they're good on both sides of the ball right now. They're hitting their stride. I think it's unfortunate when you look at the back half of the season rather than the full picture of the entire season. But college football playoff makes their decision, and Alabama will be going to the playoff to take on Michigan. And then Washington versus Texas, which is going to be an absolute banger.
You feel bad for this Florida State team. You feel bad for Mike Norvell.
I really don't. I mean, Florida State.
I do. You know why? Because
I don't really feel bad for any of these 5, 6, 7.
Do we know why? Because
bases.
Florida State hasn't been good since Jameis Winston was there. Florida State hasn't been good since Willie Taggart, went there initially as their head coach. Man, Mike Norvell's last few seasons, 3 wins first year, 5 wins second year, got 10 wins last year, and then came through with an undefeated season in an ACC championship this year. And then you get left out of the top 4 for 2 teams that have a loss on their record. Like, I'm floored. Like, for a team that did everything right. You ran the table. You won your championship for your conference. Like, you were on your way to, if your quarterback doesn't go down, you're considered a top 4 team in the country. But your quarterback did go down, and you were still able to win 2 games, one of those being the ACC championship. And you're on the outside looking in, and you're looking at 2 teams that have losses on their records. Yeah, I'm pissed off. If I'm Mike Norvell, if I'm the Seminoles team, I'm pissed right now. Like, I'm not happy about any of this stuff. And of course, yeah, you get to play Georgia in some cool. So what? Don't care. Like, you want to play for the national championship. And per the rules of how this thing works, an undefeated Power 5 team that wins the championship, they are supposed to be in this top 4. They are supposed to be in this playoff.
Yeah.
There's no way you can really say, I get it. Texas is a great team. Texas lost. Alabama is a great team. Alabama has a loss on their record. I kind of wish this were the BCS, because if this were the BCS, we would know for a fact that Florida State would probably be there because they don't have a loss on their record.
Yeah, the ACC kind of got left hanging to dry.
I'm gonna give you a couple seconds to retract that statement, saying
Which
that
one?
you'd rather wish it was the BCS.
Man, at this, I'm saying,
Do you remember those days?
I do
Rashad?
remember the BCS. There were some inconsistencies at best, but now you got real people making these dumbass mistakes. Now you got a real group, a voting room of people that said, you know what? I get it. They're undefeated. They won their conference championship. I just think that this, Alabama played this one game really well. We got to give it to them.
I mean, guys, I'm honestly, frankly surprised that the committee ranked Florida State even above
They're
Georgia.
showing Florida
boy.
State's reaction now.
That's look at Norvell. Look at that stone face. Do you see, man? That is a man that is like inside, just cogs. Are
Oh God,
working
they're
in his
breaking
mind.
tables. They're burning things now.
They're not. They're wiping towels on their faces in disgust.
Boy.
Yeah.
And he's got to go tell his team, "Hey guys,
Calm down.
Rally.
sorry we got effed in the A."
Dude, that guy that they bring up there for college, get him a hairstylist. Boo Radley or whatever his name is.
Boo Kerrigan, whatever.
Dude,
Boo Radley.
every week, and I understand he's probably hasn't slept, but we can't get a comb over. Like, wet down a comb, put a little gel in that thing, clean it up. This is the college. Look at the tie. Look at the collar.
Yeah, he looks disheveled.
Unacceptable.
He's been up all night.
Unacceptable.
Clearly they haven't, because if you have, we would have
Have
been
some
up. We would have
pride.
went over that a few times. Like, man, are we sure we're putting Florida State at 5? Like, let's review this one more time.
He looks like he's about to fall asleep live on air, honestly. Yeah, he's snoozing here soon.
Man, boo.
Wow. Read another reaction here. If Florida State is so much worse without Jordan Travis, then why are they ranked 5th? Drop them down to like 9th or something. If they're better than Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, then their undefeated record should put them in the playoffs.
But their strength of schedule, unfortunately.
I don't. At that point, throw the schedule part out of the way. It's like if
Cincinnati
you're saying
went,
they're the
bro.
5th best team, then why aren't they good enough to be the 4th best team and undefeated? They're
Well-
not better than Ohio State, Georgia, or Oregon.
Well, but you've got to find metrics to separate these guys. And unfortunately, strength of schedule, which is a little bit more tangible than just overall program prestige or how you're feeling about the program at any particular week. Like Georgia, honestly, I think they got effed way bigger than Florida State here because they ultimately, like reigning national champions, undefeated season leading into the conference championship.
Non-conference champion.
Their loss came at the wrong time. All right, I
Yeah,
get it.
that sucks.
Yeah, it
like
does.
win. It would be. It's nice when you win. How about you get a schedule, and it has 13 games, and you win all of them? Sounds like a good way to get yourself in the playoff, especially if you're in a Power 5 conference.
Yo,
Listen,
fair.
it's a good thing it's the last year of this because I mean I can't believe I'm vouching for Florida State, and what a way to go
Listen.
out on this 14 playoff too.
Listen.
This much drama.
Cincinnati made the playoff a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, what was that strength of schedule?
They
Now,
played-
granted, there probably wasn't as much. I mean, I can't remember who that 5th team was who got left out that year, but I don't think there was as much controversy because this was the second straight undefeated season for Cincinnati. They had proven themselves again. And again, that 5th team, I'm blanking on who that was on the bubble, but
But if it's just in the terms of
Strength
schedule,
of schedule,
right?
yeah.
If we're talking about in the terms of schedule. Miami, Ohio, Murray State, Indiana, Notre Dame, which is Notre Dame, but they beat them 24-13.
when Notre Dame wasn't good.
Temple, UCF, Navy, Tulane, Tulsa, USF, SMU, East Carolina, Houston. They made it all. They ended up being the 4th seed because they had an undefeated schedule, at the undefeated record at that point. So the fact that you would put Cincinnati in last year, you would put TCU in, who again, not taking anything away from those teams are making, but neither one of those teams are Florida State. So I don't know. I feel like we're lamenting Florida State right now when, hey man, I'm again, if you're that coaching staff, if you're those athletes, you're pissed right now. There's no logical reason that Florida State shouldn't be, and it's crazy that we're over here caping for Florida State right now. Like I'm pretty sure like the rich don't need to get any richer, right? Like they've won enough. They've got Deion Sanders went there. Like they're really good. Like Florida State is a good program. They've got Heismans and national championships and all that stuff. So we don't need to give them more credit. However, this is one of those things where you took a program that was floundering, turned them around into an eventual or what could have been a champion, and you left them out with 13 wins on the season. Crazy to me.
And what made that season actually even easier for them to decide that, and I'll have to retract my statement on Notre Dame not being good, because that season Notre Dame was the 5th team in the college football playoff ranking, and their one loss was to Cincinnati.
So it makes sense for them not to be there,
So
right?
that made it a hell of a lot easier for them to look at Cincinnati, an undefeated non-Power 5 team that had gone undefeated for the 2nd year in a row, with a win over one of the top teams in the country, the team that was right there on the bubble. And then it was Ohio State was 10-2. They lost to Michigan, Big East. Didn't even go to the Big East championship game. So there was, again, it was easier that year for them to look at Cincinnati and be like, yeah, schedule sucks, but the 2nd year in a row, they clearly have a good team, and they beat the one team who we're trying to decide against. There you go. Whereas this is the first time since the playoffs inception that an undefeated Power 5 team did not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's precedent that has been set. Now, thankfully, I think that they were able to do this because they know going forward, all these teams will be in next year. I think that the committee has a little bit easier time being able to stomach this and make this move because they can say, well, we'll see you there next year. Be good next year and it'll be fine. Because I think they can also say that, well, Florida State, you're not beating any of these 4 teams. If we put you in against Michigan, you're not beating them. Washington, you're not. So sorry to say, we don't believe in you. And if you are good next year, Norvell's coming back. If Jordan Travis comes back, I don't know what his years of eligibility. I doubt that he's going to the NFL after just breaking his leg. But that is a case. Then next year, Florida State, you go 12-1, 13-0 again. You're going to leave them out a 2nd year in a row. So obviously that's a lot of projection and, things that we don't know about in the future. But
hey man, well, Florida State, get ready for the Cheez-It Bowl again.
Gosh, I got a lot of stuff to look up after the show because I haven't even looked at Florida State fan reaction yet.
Honestly, I bet you Oregon, Florida State might get Georgia, but Florida State also might get a team like Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl or something like that. So because I was looking at bowl projections yesterday, and if Alabama were out, then it would have been Alabama v. Oregon Fiesta Bowl possibility. So I mean, Oregon could still get the Seminoles here in bowl season.
College football playoff games will all be played on New Year's Day rather than on New Year's Eve, which sometimes the calendar works out where that's the case. Give me games on New Year's Day.
That always works better.
All day long. I prefer that so much more. Boy, got a college football playoff ranking. Oh, yeah, they showed the Michigan watch party when they announced Alabama. There was a lot of surrender cobras going on in that room, a lot of hands to head immediately. So, and they're going to be talking to Jim on ESPN. We're going to take a commercial break and put a bow on this show. Rashad Taylor, Jordan Schultz, Joe Fisher. This is Football Sunday on 1080 The Fan.
Held over due to popular demand. Save thousands.
been talking to him over the last couple weeks about it, and sharing with him what we both don't like. And the first thing I say to him, I'm like, oh, dude, the thing I'm not looking forward to is the refs. And then he's like, oh, my God. And it's not even like I'm going to get teed up. I'll probably get
You're
teed up.
hoping to get teed up.
I'll probably get at least one tee this year. But these kids nowadays, I feel like I've talked about this on the show, are so damn scared to call anything because they don't want parents or coaches.
Well, because, man, you over there dressed up like Pat Riley with your hair slicked back and a suit on Saturday basketball.
Should I take the attention away from my kids every week and do like a different coach get up? So
I think
like
that'd be
Pat
great.
Riley one week, Jack Ramsey one
Bobby
week.
Knight.
Bobby,
Yeah.
no.
Start choking kids.
You gotta go Donnie. You gotta go Donnie
Throwing
Nelson.
chairs
Yeah,
in the
right.
in the
You gotta go turtleneck and a suit jacket, Donnie Nelson style one.
That's a
week.
hard. Hey, man, that's a great look.
There's a Goodwill in Newburgh where I can find 95% of all these
Hell
clothes. Yeah, like there's probably like 20 pairs of pants that look like something Jack Ramsey would have worn. Hell, ask my my grandparents. I'm sure they've got a lot of these clothes still lying around. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see how many games we have, and then be like, all right, we got 8 games, so that's 8 different wardrobes. Do I go like full Adidas tracksuit for one? Like a full Adidas jumper with the
you gotta
stripes
go
down
like
the
NBA
side?
coach, like current day. You know how they wear just the pants and shirt. You know,
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I do hate how NBA
Yeah.
coaches look on the sidelines.
I remember a
like,
dad-
nowadays. I agree.
Showing up a couple years ago to a basketball game in the gyms and all the coaches and parents. Dude, this guy was there becomes an age where you probably shouldn't be, like a hype beast and a sneakerhead and wearing a bunch of Supreme and stuff like that. And this was one of the head coaches, walks in with the Supreme backpack on and like Nike, what are the Off-Whites? Like this dude, I was like, this is Newburgh, you realize. Like you aren't going out to a club in LA or in Miami, New York. Like this is
white
Newburgh.
dude?
Of course. I mean,
He wants those Newburgh hotties, brother.
listen, I've
middle-aged
been to a
mothers
few
out
different
there.
functions in Newburgh. Slim pickings, all right? Slim pickings
they're
out
out there, but yeah.
Oh, they're
not
out
as-
there.
Yeah.
And then you find out they're a horse girl.
Yeah. we're
And then
good.
you're like, all right, well, that's out the window.
We're okay. Thank you, though. But no, I think, coaching youth sports, especially basketball, always fun. Actually, I went out last night, and this is showing my age. Young lady walks past, and she's just staring at me. And I just
Hey,
stared back
coach!
Like, hey, and she was like, "What's up?" And started talking to me. I was like, "Oh my god! Like you're like 24 now, and you're a whole adult." At
She call you
everything
coach?
at this point. Yeah, yeah, kind of. So it's super
sucks.
weird when that happens. But like, man, coaching youth basketball is always so much fun because it's grassroots, man. You get a chance to see kids that some of them might really take it seriously. And the great thing about being a youth coach is you have an opportunity to influence how that person feels about the sport moving forward.
Yeah, and that's
There's so many people that played football one time and never again because they hated their coach, or all they made them do was run,
Yep.
or all they made them do was up downs or whatever. So I never want to play again.
There'll be plenty of those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you gotta make kids fall in
hardwood-
love with the process.
That hardwood is going to be covered in puke from how many up downs I make those kids do.
See,
The janitor's not going to be happy with
that's how you win championships, though.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward in teaching like work ethic. Like, hey, I need you here for an hour. Flip the switch, work your ass off for an hour. That's all I ask, right? The concept of like teamwork and knowing your role and who needs to do what at 5th, 6th grade. That's
Doesn't
gonna
exist.
that's gonna be
Doesn't
tough
exist.
as far as that goes. But
Everybody wants to score, so you just gotta.
But like you said, making kids love the game and hopefully being that coach that's like, dude, I remember that guy 20, 30 years later, and he made me love that game. So,
Absolutely.
But love all you guys out there. Love you guys. Another great show.
you,
Rashad
bro.
Taylor, Jordan Schultz, Joe Fisher, Football Sunday, and we will be back next week. More football to talk
We're
about.
riding for you, Florida State.
Horns up!
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to